want to go right now to Joel Villarreal. He's the Rio Grande City, Texas mayor, kind enough to join us. Mayor, one of the things I've always enjoyed about talking to you, a Democrat, I mean, you are not trying to play party politics with this. You're concerned about what Texas is dealing with, and maybe a little surprised that there are those in other cities and states who are just coming to discover that. What do you think of this back and forth on all of it?
You know, it is so ironic that just yesterday I read a proclamation in celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month, highlighting the significant contributions by Hispanics throughout American history that helped forge the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. And yet Hispanics are being utilized as political pawns and paraded in a dog and pony show that unfortunately is there for the rest of the world to bear witness. And for what purpose? Supposedly to highlight our broken immigration system. Americans are fully aware that we have a broken immigration system, and we've had this for over 30 years, several decades. Unfortunately, we lack leaders on both parties who are willing to grab the bull by the horns and address our broken immigration system. And I'm talking about both parties. Neither party has delivered a comprehensive immigration reform or addressed our broken immigration system in over 30 plus years, for decades. Unfortunately, we get this. You have Democrats, Republicans engaged in asinine political mudslinging that absolutely does zero to address the issue.
But Mayor, and I definitely see where you're coming from, sir, but I do find it a little odd, especially those who are gassed with these buses and planes, or depending if you're looking at Martha's Vineyard or the nation's capital or what have you. But I didn't see the same concern for what you and fellow mayors and public officials in Texas have been going through ad nauseum for all these decades. So where was that concern for the plight of migrants, whether they were on bus or a plane or just stuck in Texas being processed?
Well, and that's the point. We don't have a nationally coordinated effort to address it. Now, you're going to bus individuals, make sure that the receiving end is aware so that way people are provided for as far as their accommodation. Now, again, this brings up a whole other issue.
They're not always aware, right? When ICE has had planes that have gone all over the country, dozens of them during the Biden administration and the prior administration before that, you know, oftentimes the community, especially these middle-of-the-night flights, was never given a heads up. That would seem to be a good procedure going forward, because I can't tell you the number of mayors I talked to, sir, who are just caught off guard. They had no idea.
And I've said this before, no mayor or governor in America should bear the burden for our broken immigration system without the federal financial resources that are necessary to better manage these flows. Now, unfortunately, both parties are stuck in these asinine political stunts. And I call them stunts because at the end of the day, what are the concrete solutions to address this? Now, yes, right now you have Democrats that are in full control, and they need to address it, just like before when you had Republicans in full control. But neither party has addressed it. That's the whole point.
But
and when are we going to,
do you think Mayor Texas could use more financial help? It seems like its resources are strapped.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that the federal government should provide them, but it doesn't. So what's the deal with that?
Well, it goes back to, why are we not? Is it really that difficult to sit down and have a conversation where the governors and the president sit down and have a conversation? Is it really that difficult to do?
Well, apparently
what is it that they must actually? Apparently it is, but why? Why is it so difficult? I mean, come on, just put your pride aside, whoever, be the bigger person, sit down, call the others, sit down and have a conversation. Unfortunately, we're playing politics for furthering their own political agendas, which is unfortunate because the rest of America, all of us Americans, are stuck with this issue, and it is an issue for the rest of the world to bear witness, and unfortunately, we Americans are stuck with the bill, especially at the backs of our own taxpayers as well.
All right.
But we're stuck with this situation, and it doesn't have to be this way. We just would sit down, have a conversation, and again, I ask you that. Why is it so difficult? Is it really that difficult to sit down and have a conversation? I mean, come on. Well, these are elected officials that are here for the rest of America.
It shouldn't be. But, Mayor, thank you very much for taking the time. We'll watch this closely because it does seem that there's a little bit of hypocrisy here. Joel Villarreal, the Rio Grande City, Texas mayor.